Google is so bad they're going to try and do it again this week. Apparently, they're going to try and they're going to come back and try and be better than they did last week.
Google showed a little seasonality, which was the first time for them they've shown a slight drip in Q1, which usually they kind of outstrip that seasonality you see in the advertising industry. So that was the Google issue.
But does that spell bad things for some of these other companies, or do you think those were one-offs?
I think these will each be individual earnings for each of these companies. I don't think it'll be driven by anything macro. I think the sector has come down a little bit. It probably still could come down another 15 or 16% to be within historical norms. But I think with each of these companies, we're looking at the traditional things. With Netflix, we want to see subscriber ads. With Apple, we're going to look at number of iPhones and iPads shipped, which should actually be pretty bad. With Facebook, we're going to look at percent monetization that's in mobile. So all the traditional things.
So there is no one big technology category anymore.
I think they've all gotten whacked, and they may get whacked again just based on the multiple sizes. But I think going into earnings, we're looking at the traditional things we look at in each of these companies.
You said you think Apple's going to be the most interesting.
Yeah. Apple is flat. Like, it's amazing in our lifetime that, having Apple done such a run to now have them going into a quarter where they're going to do $43 billion in revenue, which is flat year over year, and to also have them basically potentially have negative sales in iPads relative to the quarter prior and be flat in iPhones. This is a company.
Why would they be flat year over year?
Because they're just not growing. Because they're not.
Was it a big quarter a year ago? Or
Well, just because there's no new product cycle. People are buying the phones at the same rates. They really need to come out now with the larger size phone. I really hope that they actually come out with this. This is called the phablet form factor. So this is 5.7 inches. Right. They're probably going to come out with the 5.1 inch, which is the size of the Samsung Galaxy S. But all of the growth in the category is coming from these phones. And in fact, there was a memo out during the Samsung Apple trial where Apple executives had secretly in an offsite said, we need to go into larger phones because all the growth in $300 plus phones is larger or below 300, and Apple is right in the middle where no one's buying phones anymore.
Yeah, and I'm such a sucker for these things. I have an iPhone. I have an iPad mini. I have the regular iPad. That's the only size that I don't have. And I can see that because it's also got the phone on it, too. So that would be the one device you would take with you.
And exactly. When you look at lots of kind of millennials and people in Asian markets where they're going to buy one device, it's going to be their primary computing device. This sort of sits between the two.
Although, look, as a woman, I have a purse. I can stick it in it. Where do you stick that if you're a guy?
In a purse.
There you go.
Oh, very nice.
You don't have a purse. Where do you put it?
I have a jacket pocket. But I can fit it in my pant pocket.
Let me see that.
Does it work in your shirt pocket? Joe, put it in your shirt pocket. Let me see if that works.
No, my shirt pocket is
sewn.
It's not sewn. It's starched, and I don't ever disturb that. No.
Netflix we have tonight, too.
This is too big.
Okay. A lot of people feel that way.
What's the advantage of having it bigger? A little bigger screen?
It's a larger screen. I can do all my notes on it.
Is it, if I drop this, will it break?
Yes.
So if you put a cover on it, it's going to be even bigger.
Right, that's true. But I have like the insurance thing on it, for like a few bucks a month. If I break it, I'm okay.
Right. So that's the next. So that's what Apple's been missing out on.
This is what Apple's been missing out on. The one that's about that comes to right here. This is if they really wanted to go to where I think the puck is going to be, they would go even larger.
And this is 5.7 inches.
It's 5.7 inches. Apple will do 4.7 to 5.1 is where the consensus is. There's a small possibility they will do two phones. The larger, and then this phablet, phone tablet.
Yeah, because this is like the mini iPad sort of.
It is. It even has a
phablet.
It even has a little pen if you want to do it.
Oh, I like that. That's cool the way that came out of there. So is that what you're using?
That's what I'm using.
That's what you're using?
That's what I'm using. I can do all my notes on it. I can do everything on it.
It's an Android thing.
It is Android, yeah. I mean, Android's another issue for Apple right now, which is that all the smartphone growth is really in the Android market now as well.
All right, let's talk about Netflix, too, because that stock's gotten creamed over the last 6 weeks.
But we've got some interesting, so Netflix is super expensive. Let's get that out of the way. Now let's talk about some fundamentals.
Oh, after the decline?
Absolutely. 28 times 2014 EV to EBITDA. Versus sector at 15. Now, granted, it has a 34%.
Oh, wait a second. Who else is in the sector? There's nobody else that does
That's all the internet stocks, basically.
Okay.
That's what Heath Terry does at Goldman. He puts all the internet stocks in that sector. The issue with it's a hard stock because you've got 34% earnings growth in the U.S., You've got international that's not profitable, but has a 46% growth rate in revenue. And then you've got the DVD sales, which are declining, right? So it's a very hard stock. But with that said, there was a report out over the weekend. Experian did a study showing that 18% of people who have Netflix cut the cord. They have broadband, but they don't have television. That's up from 12% 3 years ago. So this is why people get excited about the stock, is that they think it can really be a television replacement.
It's a disruptive technology, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're supposed to add 2.2 million subs in the U.S. This quarter. Anything above that, the stock will go up.
Okay, let's talk Amazon. Also reporting. I think they report on the 24th after the bell. So what's the market going to be watching on this one?
So Going into Q4, remember, revenue was not nearly as strong as people had hoped for on the holiday season. The stock did not perform well after Q4 earnings. What we're hoping for here is the net revenue number of $19 billion, where they're supposed to come in at, that's consensus. They have to beat that number. The other thing I think that people are going to be looking at